Hey everybody, just an update by request on the progress with this. I've got it all apart. I've taken the old mod out. I've done some cleaning in here. Got rid of some more of that brown goop, which I've done a video of on the past. Replaced a bunch more capacitors, so on and so forth. So now I'm ready for when the boards come to mount the board in this radio. I'm just cleaning it all up. Because I want to maximize the chances that I'm not going to have an issue with my mod, because you know I've spent a great deal of time on that thing trying to make sure that I'm not going to do any end up with more harm than good, to the point where I was even throwing stuff in LT Spice just to be absolutely sure that things worked as I expected them to. So, and even after all of that, after simulation and all that, I still put it in here. I could still get bitten by Mother Nature. That's just the nature of the beast. Welcome to electronics. So that said, I'm just cleaning it up, changing caps. When I get the PLL replacement all built and whatnot, then I'll align the radio using that instead of the PLL. Because I'm sure things will change slightly. It's just best. I think it's best to do it that way. That said, brown goop. Example of that brown goop. I know I've done a video on it before, like on that cap right there. It's that nasty brown crap on there. It gets hygroscopic, and then you get probably an electrolysis, because it's all on your component leads and stuff like that that have current flowing through them, and yeah, it basically turns into a resistor. Then you got electrolysis going on. Bad stuff. PLLs get corroded. They use it over here, and it kills the PLL. They use it over here, kills this cap and a diode typically. They've got some of it up here in the finals up here in the output transistors. They've got some up there. They've got some over here. You got to get rid of it all. They got some in here. It's all over. Just if you see it, you need to get it gone. So just scrape it off. Use a solvent. Try not to damage anything else in the process, and you're just better off. So if you have one of these radios of this vintage and it's still working, you're fortunate. Probably best bet to get rid of it now. So if you don't know what you're doing, that's when you send it to somebody. And while I'm on the subject of sending it to somebody, every once in a while, well, several times a month, I'll get an inquiry. Hey, can you work on my radio? I don't do that sort of thing. Now, 20 years ago, I used to, but not anymore. I haven't done it for a really long time. 20 years ago, I also had all the equipment. I still lack a few key pieces, but I could probably do 99% of it, but that's not 100%, so that's not good enough. Not to mention, I just don't have any interest. I mean, point blank, I really don't have any interest. I like playing around and modding the radios for my own enjoyment, and I'm making videos of this, and this is one of those things where it's a hobby project, and I'm just having fun. So that said, my bird's going crazy in the other room. Yes, I have a bird and a cat. And they get along just fine. They're actually friends. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link into a YouTuber named Mike that, I'm very high-strung. I mean, just to put it succinctly, I'm very opinionated and all that. I have my rules of dealing with this stuff, and that is, if you don't know what the hell you're doing, you shouldn't be doing it. And if you don't have the equipment to muck around with it, then you shouldn't be mucking around with it. Those go hand in hand, because if you know what you're doing, you have the equipment. And if you have the equipment, you know what you're doing. Mike, whom I already reached out to, and he said it was okay. I'll put his info, to his channel and whatnot. You can contact him, and do whatever needs to be done. You guys can work that out, and I'm sure that what he will do for you is and you should watch his videos, because what he's doing is my standard's high, and I would have to say that he's probably exceeding even mine just by a touch. I'm pretty high. I have pretty high standards, and he's definitely doing what in my opinion, and you know, I'm sure, you know, if they say opinions are like assholes, I think that he's doing everything, you know, top notch. So, you know, I mean, there's just those little touches. I mean, like the faceplate on the radio, where he breaks out the painter's tape and puts that stuff on there. I mean, protecting the equipment. Those little touches like that, they really go a long way. I mean, I'm serious. That attention to detail really means a lot to somebody like me. So, you know, and you know, I got out of that stuff 20 years ago. You know, he's obviously still going strong. So my hat's off to him. You know, I got his permission to do that, so, you know, I wasn't gonna you know, send anybody his way without, you know, ask first. I'm sure he wouldn't have minded that, but still, it's not right to do stuff like that. So, you know, I can appreciate his videos. They're definitely something that I watch, because I think he does a phenomenal job. But anyways, that said, my little custom mod here, which, you know, there's some attention on this. People, I get emails from people. You know, it's there's definitely some interest around this. It's a hobby project, for sure. But anyway, mounting my mod, and this is actually, it goes for any mod. It could be a Roger Beep. It could be one of those vulgar noise toys that people seem to like a whole lot. It could be an Echo board. The Echo boards, incidentally, a lot of those you look, they're even made to mount in this space where I'm mounting it. They have the brackets that are made for. They designed it around fitting it in this kind of a radio. So, anyways, here's the board. Actual size, printed on a piece of paper, just to make sure, because it's one thing to know the dimensions, you know, where you can get a ruler, and, you know, measure it, and then come over here and then measure it, and then say, okay, it's going to fit. It's another, you print it out on a piece of paper, but I wanted to check out and how I'm mounting this here, which is going to be interesting. This is a tip, by the way. You have PC board screw terminals. These are these things that you mount on a printed circuit board, and you use it for connecting like a heavy gauge wire to a board. So they look like this, and you know, I was certain that these were going to work, but you got to keep in mind, there's a couple of other things that are important about this. So I just made sure that I had the alignment correct, so I put that in there, and then I can just sort of, you know, come over here and fold the piece of paper and make sure that it's going to line up. And because you take all the measurements, but I want to actually make sure that it will fit, and that's a good feature that you have in your CAD tools, a lot of your board layout stuff, is to print actual size layout of the board. This is also used for like drive transfers and whatnot for printing it out so that you can make the boards. But I got out of making boards and etching boards, God, 20 years ago. I stopped doing that stuff. Ferric chloride, nah, not into that. So where you would expose the boards, so you'd print it on a clear sheet that was used for transfer, and then you'd use all that UV lamps and all. I got rid of that stuff, went into the rubbish a long time ago. But anyway, so I want to make sure it fits. But here's the other thing. This is an actual, just a blown up version of it. And right here, okay, this is the same, and you see this polygon, which is the flood fill. And it's not connected to these 4 vias, okay? Because the boards get flood filled. So it's like this, where you can see on the back of this board. See, these are isolated. Same thing. I don't want to connect my ground to the chassis of the radio. Okay, that brings me to another point. So you got your toy, your Roger Beep, your vulgar noise toy, your echo board, whatever it is you're putting in here. You got to make sure that you don't connect a ground from in the radio to this aluminum frame. There's a reason for that. This thing is a floating ground, and you don't want a ground path through your module. It's not a good idea. You could cause lots of problems with that. So if you're putting in a noise toy, making a noise toy, make sure you keep this floating. And the best way to make sure that somebody hasn't altered it is to look at the schematic, and you'll typically see these capacitors that are around here. There's one here, for example, that's probably easy to see, and it's right here. So you see this is mounting to this aluminum frame. It's screwed here, and these are exposed. This is an exposed tinned copper, and there's a capacitor from here over to the ground plane on the board, and the same here. You gotta make sure that you don't inadvertently ground this. You could have problems. It may work fine. You may have problems. When you're modifying the radio, the best thing you could do is to try to keep things as original as possible, and that's one of them right there. Excuse me, guys. That said, I don't know that I've got anything else to really talk about. Got the faceplate off. Oh, my board. My first experience with another board manufacturer. I've typically used a stateside PC board house. It's expensive, and that's the nature of the beast. It's expensive. If you're going to get it manufactured in the United States, it's expensive. It's quadruple the price. I mean, literally. I mean, unless you're getting 10,000 boards, you're going to pay, probably for one of these, and I'm not exaggerating, probably $30 a board. Okay, China, it's like $1. $1. Oh, I don't remember how much it was per board. I actually have the invoice for this. $2.90 a board. Okay, so I've gotten this produced by. I think I mentioned this before that I was going to try Elecro, and so far I have experienced zero issue. Okay, I sent them the Gerbers on Sunday night, probably maybe about 10 p.m. Eastern. Okay, an hour later, they were already being reviewed by one of their CAD people, and 2 hours after that, it was released to manufacture, just like that, in the middle of the night. So when I woke up the next morning, they were already released to manufacturing, which is great. No cam holes, nothing stupid like that, because I generally make sure that I'm not going to do that. Not new at the show. In fact, I don't think I've had one on a cam hold in a long time. It just doesn't really happen. So that says a lot about these guys, So, and I've gotten like periodic updates, like, oh, it's going to be 4 or 7 days or whatever it is before. What did they tell me for manufacturing? Let's see. On the 14th, it went into production. 4 to 7 business days. Okay. On the 17th, it was being shipped. So that's 3 days. So they said 4 to 7 and they did it in 3. Maybe they're slow. That's okay. They sent me this email with the invoice with a picture of the boards. So, that's another nice touch. So I'm reasonably pleased with this. I think it's great. Now I have to look at the boards when they come, and I have to see what I'm getting. How many traces am I going to have to scrape apart? Things like that. How good is their process? Especially since I use some really tight I've got some really tight tolerances on some of the stuff. So we'll just have to see how good they are when I get them. But they're already shipped. You know, I woke up this morning and they're shipped. It's like, wait a minute, I thought it was 4 to 7 days to manufacture. No, 3 days. Okay, it's already being shipped. I might have them next week or the week after. You know, 7 to 14 days or whatever to get from China to the United States. So, you know, and of course we're at the mercy of the system at that point. So that said, I should have something actually put in here and you know, working soon. Couple of things that I had to get from DigiKey that I don't have yet is I had to get knurled encoders. I didn't have any knurled encoders. This is just a 10K. I think it's 10K. Somewhere it's written on there. 20K pot. You know, old carbon track pot. And this is going to be replaced. This is already going to be an encoder like before. Going to make some new mounting stuff for the display and so on and so forth. Because what I had previously been doing in here, I'm just going to have to probably break down and actually make something for the display. There's the display, and this is metallized, it's chrome, and these displays are just something that you get off of, you know, Alibaba or whatever. They're just Spy or I2C little OLED displays, 0.96 inches or whatever. And you know, I just sort of, the last time I just sort of put it in there like that. Know how well that's really going to get seen. Just take the plug off, and I've just sort of put that down in there, and I quite literally with this you may be able to see that sort of yellow down there. That's Captain tape, and I just put another piece across the back of it and put it in the radio, and the tape and the metal frame here kind of pinches it in there. Not enough to break it, but I think if the radio took a good enough whack in the front that it would probably just crack the thing, and that would be the end of it. Of course, this is the board that comes on, that it comes with, you know, the little display and all that. I need to find out where I can get these displays, and I've tried to get just the displays before without the board. This way I can just make my own board, because this is just a flat flex to you know, PCB tracks, and I should be able to make up a CAD drawing for this and make my own board so that I can just put it in this spot here with my encoder. You got two mounting screws here for that, so I should be able to just put my own board behind here, use these screws to mount it in there with the display and the encoder all in one, you know, board, and then just have a harness come over to my thing. But for now, I mean, I'm just roughing it in. I mean, I'm just literally sticking that thing in there, taping it, and hoping for the best. And it worked fine like that forever. But that's not really a good solution to this. You know, and it had shifted in there a few times where I had to actually come take it apart and put it back in position. So it's just not a good solution. It's not a good permanent thing. For me testing this, it's perfect, because one of the tests I'm going to do is right here. It's one thing to work here on this bench. It's another thing for me to go take it in my car, throw an antenna. You know, I just throw a little. Well, I've actually got a little will, and I just throw it on the roof of the car, and I stuff the coax through the door, and you know, whatever I want to, you know, fiddle around with it, and a cigarette lighter, and plug it in there, and throw the radio on the seat. That's quite literally how I test it. And I drive around with it in the car for a few days or a few weeks and just see how it works. Talk to people, what have you. So that's basically it. But in the meantime, between the time I get the boards and the time I muck around with this, I'll probably do some other things. Maybe I'll make a video about something else. But anyways, that's pretty much all I have to update everybody on. So I hope that that works for you guys. Any questions? You know how to get a hold of me. Just send me a message, and I'll do my best to answer them. So that'll be all for now, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves.